You're listening to Embrace Your Snake, the #1 podcast for creatives and entrepreneurs that have big ideas and just need a little help to get them out into the world. I'm your host, Michael Jackson. For over 25 years, my next guest has been mastering his online marketing and advertising skills. He currently owns several multi-million-dollar e-commerce businesses. He owns the software as a service company, SyncSumo, and his Facebook ads agency called ZenFusion. He's super passionate about his business acceleration coaching business called 80/20 Business, where he teaches entrepreneurs and business owners how to leverage his business acceleration lifecycle formula that he created and has fine-tuned over the last 12 years. He's notorious for doubling and tripling the revenues of businesses within 12 to 24 months, from 6 to 7 figures and 7 to 8 figures. I'm pleased to introduce Justin Lofton. Justin, how you doing?
I'm well, brother. It's so good to see you. It's been too long, my friend.
It has been way too long. And I want you to know, I have mentioned this to you before, and I've written this in forums, that you have helped me so much in it. I'll start with that, to just the basics, with this mindset and actually understanding that, you know, to make it in business, you've got to change your mindset so that you're actually wanting to have those things come into your life and into your business and being able to help people. And I see the things that you do with helping your family, helping kids, helping people in general, and it flows into your business, and it is an amazing thing. I wish more people would do what you're doing.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot more of that in 2020 and beyond. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Well, when I first got in touch with you and we were discussing like what we want to talk about on the show, you came up with a great idea. And but people we're going to talk about SyncSumo. We're going to talk about ZenFusion, and we'll do that at the end. But I want people to understand that you are a straight up, you know what you're talking about in business, and you are a mentor that other people need to get in touch with. And I think we came up with the topic of, you know, why 2020 will be the best year for entrepreneurs ever. So Why don't we just jump into that and let's talk about what 2020 is going to mean and why it's going to be an amazing year for entrepreneurs in general.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'm super excited to kind of bring this gnosis to the table for everybody because, you know, the sooner you can tap into it, the sooner you're going to be able to manifest the reality you've always wanted. And it really boils down to, I like a quote from J.P. Morgan. Although I'm not a fan of his, his activities and behaviors in the financial markets and stuff, but the quote really hits home. And he says, "Millionaires don't pay attention to astrology; billionaires do."
Whoa. Okay.
And so what's happening right now is we're moving out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. And so we're moving essentially out of the dark ages into heaven on earth. And so what's happened is Earth's frequency, and you can go check out the Schumann resonance for yourself and see what's been happening on specific dates in the last handful of months, where all these planets are aligning, and it's basically releasing us from a lot of this dualistic nature that we have, we've experienced in this incarnation, in this lifetime, where we see this black versus white and, you know, right versus wrong. And all this stuff has been playing out for a long, long time, many thousands of years. And we're now crossing over into Christ consciousness, which has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. It has everything to do with the energy inside of you. That's what Christ consciousness is about, unity consciousness. And that's what's happening.
You know, what's so interesting, and I don't follow the things so much, but it is so weird to me that things that you have read about as kids, whether it's the Bible or whether it's another book that you read, or whether it's I'll call them psychics or people that see, and whatever, things seem to be lining up in a weird sort of way. And I want to deny, even though I can't, because it is very strange. And it's weird because the people that I'm running into are lining up pieces for me. It's almost like I used to have this theory back in the day that this book has already been written and we're just playing it out. We just don't know what the end is because we haven't seen it yet, but someone who wrote it already knows. And to me, things are starting to line up, and it's scary, but I want to say almost real, but go ahead and tell me some more.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I know for some, this could be a little bit overwhelming or like this guy's out of his mind or whatever, but you really just got to dig in and look at it. I mean, all this stuff is playing out right now. And I think to your point, I like to say all the world is a stage. And really when we come into this incarnation, this life, we are given a script. Okay. But when you can realize that you're just playing out the script you were given, and you can actually make a decision to say, you know what, I'm going to write my own script. Yes, that's the moment. That is the moment when you have the shift and you say, you know what, I'm not subject to all this stuff around me, the external world. Everything that I want to do and resonate with in this life, I can choose to do it right now.
Absolutely. I don't know how I'm running into this, but I am running into it, and I find that it is true. I love the stuff that Dr. Joe Dispenza has been talking about.
Sure.
And the reason I like him is because he's taken the mysticism out of things and brought it to the scientific level.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy for people to understand that don't want to believe, because it's undeniable.
It is undeniable, right? And we've kind of made there's a lot of indications that we've made the real shift at this point where, the masses are finally in a resonance and frequency, because this whole game we call life is about energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yeah.
The whole game is all about that. It's not about some religious, the scriptures were written to basically make that understanding occulted so that only the people that really did the inner work could understand the scriptures and what the stories were really saying about the human body, which is a magnificent, being for us to be sort of incarnated into.
It is pretty amazing. Didn't Tesla talk about this somewhat in his work?
Yeah, obviously he was one that said that if you want to know the secrets of the universe, it's all about energy, frequency, and vibration.
It is so much about that. Let's talk about this and how it relates to people in business now. How do we take what we've just talked about, and some people will listen to this and go, oh, it's too mystical. And I hope they stayed long enough to go, you know what, let me just check out, maybe some of this is actually affecting my life. So how does it affect people in their business? And we'll relate that to life in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, this is a very important stage, no matter, where you're at. If you are feeling resistance, it's because the new energy that's here, and a lot of people are calling it New Earth. And so if I use that phrase, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's basically heaven on earth. And we have an opportunity to basically manifest the new earth. It's opening up the gates for us to really truly see, hey, if we put our thoughts onto something and we actually write down what we want and we speak it into the reality, it's going to show up, which means we have new responsibilities. Okay. Mm-hmm. In the past, we could think things and we could judge people and we could, look at a competitor and not like them or even use the word hate, all these things that have played out, especially in business, right? Where we're very competitive and we see the landscape in a different framework than we might when we're at home with our family, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we've got to do is realize that now that we can manifest nearly, instantaneously with our thoughts and our activities, our behavior, we've got a new level of responsibility that comes with that. So we need to be moving and shifting into that resonance of unconditional love and acceptance and appreciation and gratitude, because then that will open doors and remove the resistance that you might be facing in your life or your business so that you see it from a different perspective.
Let me back it up and say, this is one of my thoughts that I had, and it's just back to my kind of almost freaking out about this thing changing and kind of believing and denying at the same time. It's a very hard place to be in, by the way. I was talking with another one of my friends the other day about Star Trek, believe it or not. And I was looking at Star Trek and I said, do you realize Star Trek was just a dream, science fiction dream? And do you realize how many of the things in Star Trek have come to pass because our mind has made those things into reality? And it will start with just a simple thing like the communicator, flip it open, Kirk Enterprise. Everybody had a flip phone. Yep. We got the talking computers. We've got VR, which is on the newer Star Treks, is the holodeck. We got these things that are coming to be because we have thought of them, and they are coming into existence because of our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought about that?
Well, I think I'd say that there's a lot of there's a lot going on in terms of the media and movies and TV where they're pre-planting all this stuff for that very reason, because I know the consciousness, the collective consciousness, will ultimately, manifest those things if they put it in enough places.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we've got to be very careful with that too, in terms of what do we want, or are we just accepting what's being pushed on us?
Yes.
Right.
So how do people use might be a bad word, but how do people, I'm going to use because I can't think of another word, use this in their business? Because they could use it for good, or they could use it for not so good. Yeah. Talk about that. How do you use this new consciousness in business?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that the way that I'll answer that question is that I think for most of us, we've been really stuck in the intellect and what I also call conditioned, unconditional thinking. Okay. What we need to do is step back into conscious awareness and start looking almost, you got to become the observer of your own life and in your business. Like many of the folks that I coach and do business coaching and help them accelerate their business, they're so inside of their business that they can't see the market in a broader sense to see where the opportunities are. So they're sort of down here, working in all the little stuff when they haven't backed up into conscious awareness to realize, oh, this is the true value that I could bring to the market. I just didn't see it before.
Can you give us an example of that with one of the people that either you've worked with that wouldn't mind sharing their story?
Yeah, I mean, like one of my newer clients, WP Tangerine, he's got a great service. If you need if you've got a WordPress site and you need any kind of maintenance or, on-page SEO or, all these updates and tweaks, new products and things added to your website, they can handle it all for a fixed price every month. Okay, great service. It's successful. And, when he came to me, he was saying like, well, maybe I'll go start another business, as an entrepreneur. And, and I said, wait a second, well, you're not really, what about WP Tangerine? Why don't we you've already figured out it's already working. You're profitable. It's doing well. Why don't we do more with that? And what we kind of figured out was like, well, anybody that signs up for his service likely needs real SEO services, which is much higher ticket, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's some things we need to fix in the business right now for the core product, but why are you not selling, why aren't you already have this huge team of 50 plus employees that actually deliver the value of supporting a WordPress site. So you already know the ins and outs of WordPress. Why can't you hire a few other folks that actually know real SEO stuff and can be, applying that, and you could sell that back to the existing customers you have. And really now the initial service becomes just, you could even pay a lot more for your customers, knowing that X percentage of them are going to pay you much higher ticket for another service. So he had to step back into conscious awareness to realize, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Now talk about that a little bit, because a lot of people look at that and go, well, don't other coaches do that? Don't other people to talk about business say, oh, you're just not using the service. Let's use this more efficiently. How and why is it different when people look at it from a consciousness point of view?
It's because they can see the real. I think that most because of the intellect and what we've done in the past, and so that's a big key of this new transition into New Earth in 2020 and beyond, into the heaven on earth frequency that we're in now, is that what the rules and everything we used in the past, they don't apply anymore. Okay, we have to really cut those ideas and that programming that we have in our mind.
Give me an example of old programming and how the new programming works so people can understand that and so I can understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's think in terms of even how you hold a meeting. Okay, I'm going to give you kind of a metaphoric way to think about this. But now when I work with people, the whole thing is, hey, I'm going to teach you my business acceleration life cycle. It's an easy 7-step process. You have to go through it. But guess what? What's going to happen is you're going to have a quantum jump if you move from this idea of a hierarchical business. You got the CEO, you got your manager, you got all your employees, you got a guy that sweeps the floors, right? Mm-hmm. The guy that sweeps the floors needs to be at the round table. We're all here at the round table trying to come together because our goal is to deliver high value to our market. How do we do that? And the guy that sweeps the floors probably has better ideas than half the other people in the company. Okay, so you have to shift the mind.
Is mind blowing. I mean, to me, it's like, you know what? I always talk about, I got to bring in my employees. We all need to share stuff. But did I ever think about bringing in the guy who sweeps the floors? And I would say I have not. I will bring in my junior level people. I'll bring in, me and everyone else. And it is definitely I still think in the hierarchy kind of model, right?
Yeah, and I got a great story for you. My good buddy who worked for the government for many years, he's 81 now. He's an inventor and he has got a very successful business. He told me that he was sitting in there with the highest level scientists or whatever, big room, with the old school square table with the big chief at the top of the table, and they're all trying to figure out how to solve this, crazy problem. And the guy in the room spraying the plants is the one that had the answer.
That's awesome.
That's what happens. It's a great example of how we get stuck in our intellect, where you get compartmentalized because this is all I do in the business. And, each of your employees or your team members or your partners, we kind of just get stuck into this unconscious conditioned thinking. And as soon as we can really step back and say, I don't have to prove anything anymore. I can let the ego go. I'm just here to actually bring as much value as I can to our marketplace. And how can we sit at a round table, whether that's virtual or, physical, and start to discuss this as assuming everybody's at the same level with the same goal. We're a community, right?
So you're a WP Tangerine. Mm-hmm. Is their company still hierarchical, or did they change that mindset now and everyone's basically an equal at the table? Because I think what most people think, and I'm still thinking this way, I'm a wannabe convert, right? I don't understand. What is it? Somebody has to be responsible for the bills. Somebody has to be responsible for the business working, and not everybody is putting in the same amount of capital. They may be putting in some, sweat, but everyone's getting paid except for usually the CEO who's starving. Mm-hmm. How does that work with this new consciousness?
Well, I think what happens is that, and this is a big thing that plays into my business acceleration life cycle, and this idea of like, hey, I can teach you the life cycle, but after we've done a few calls, why don't we bring on some other team members so they're tapping into this? It's not hey, I'm learning this thing, let me tell you about it. It's, hey, bring them into our meetings, right? Because the sooner everybody's on board, the better. And a lot of times what you find is that people believe that they're just getting paid to complete tasks, right? Because they're being told, hey, this is my job responsibility. Here's my resume, all these things that play into, I got this position and I'm here to do these things so that I can get a paycheck. And the sooner you can start to tap in and get this community and this roundtable mindset going, then what the business owner starts to realize is that many of these folks have other unique gifts that they can deliver and bring to the table that has nothing to do with what was on the resume or the task they're fulfilling. Okay.
Hey, that is super exciting. That is really exciting. I love that idea.
And what happens is when you work, and just like this right now, I would, there's nothing better I'd like to be doing than talking to you right now. Okay. And so this doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like fun. Okay.
It's fun for me.
It's because it's part of my unique gift to share like this with other folks. And so the sooner you can help people realize and identify, because a lot of times we don't know what our unique gifts are. We're just going through the motions. We're playing out the script. And we kind of need people that work with us all day long, spending 8 hours or however long with us all day long, to say, you know what, you're really good at this, right? Yeah. And so the sooner we can resonate in that, in our work or in our personal lives with what we love, right? Let the ego go so that you can then focus on like, well, what do I really love to do? Why don't I just do that?
Yeah.
Then you just see so much value and new things coming from everybody on the team.
That's amazing. I'm looking at it from a musician's point of view right now. I'll leave my other business side apart. And one of the things that I have found when trying to play music, especially forming a band, is you don't always want to play with the technically best players. I think you want to play with the people that you can get along with. Because the thing about a band to me is I actually believe that any band can make it, whatever that means in their mind, as long as they can get along well enough to stay together long enough to make it.
Right.
And I think what you're talking about with companies, more formal companies, is that ability also, but then also allowing those people like the guy who's sweeping the floor or watering the plants to now bring in those ideas also, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you make a good point with the bands where you see sometimes lead singers think that they, they're the reason everybody exists, right?
Right.
Hierarchy, long rectangle table, right?
Yeah. I used to, when I was playing with bands or doing some of my other stuff, one of the things that I realized early on was mostly bar owners would think that the reason that people came to their bar was because they had beer or because they had, some kind of beverage or food that other people wanted. And I said, you realize that you can go to your bar or the bar next door or the one across town and get a Miller Lite or whatever it is that they're selling, right? And I said, really, the people come here because of the environment and how that environment is structured, and not for the drinks, not necessarily for the food. It's for the energy that place provides, right? And the other people that come there, especially the entertainment that's going to be there, that entertainment is key to how that place is going to vibe.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think you just said the right word, vibe, right? It's all about the vibration. And I think that's another thing that's coming into this is that, as a business owner, look for ways. I call it the little big things. And there's a book on this too, where like, why don't you put flowers in the office? Why don't you, right? It's all these things that bring new energy in that make this business experience, this going to work experience, much more elevated. Like you're excited to wake up in the morning and go to work because it's such a great vibe at work and the people are happy and everybody's excited to work together towards, a common goal, as opposed to, well, I'm in this department and I just complete these tasks and I get a check and I go home and, I do it all over again.
I love that this whole, just you're opening my mind as we're sitting here talking. And I thought I was open-minded and I'm like, you know what? I could be more open-minded about what's going on here. And I'm talking to, I've got VAs that I work with and I've got other suppliers I work with, and they're really all part of the team, right? They all should be instrumental in helping each other grow. So let's talk back again, more business stuff for business guys. What's going to make 2020 awesome for them? Best year ever.
Well, I think it's, and I think to your point, just to cap off that idea is that because I've got lots of virtual folks too. And what I do is I'll use, if I got them on Skype or wherever they've got them, WhatsApp or whatever it is you're using, make a group, bring them together and just be, step into that leadership position to bring the round table together saying, hey, I know you guys necessarily don't work together, but I just wanted to, show you my appreciation, gratitude for all the hard work you do. I wanted to introduce you to other team members that I work with. Here's Michelle, she does this. Here's, Roy, he does that. Like just create that open environment to where people can get to know each other and realize they're working on a common goal within the business, even if they're virtual. Right?
Yeah. And then when you do your accelerator or your business coaching, I assume that you teach people how to break down the hierarchical structures and work in this sort of way. I'm still a little confused on the everyone looks at like the owner of the company, the CEO is going to make all the money. Is that something that still happens in your structure, or how does that sort of thing get worked out in a structure where now everyone is contributing what they're meant to contribute?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that the key is putting real intention on starting to identify and write down everybody's unique gifts, because the unique gifts will allow them to shine more value in the business so that they can not only come to work excited about the work they're doing, but also clearly deliver a lot more value than they are right now, just completing tasks in whatever department they work in.
You know, I would say that one of the reasons that I didn't fit into corporate America, I messed up a couple of times and had real jobs, was the fact that I would always come up with ideas and we could never implement them or try them because there was a set way of doing things. Even though it might be a better idea, whatever, of course, that better might mean, it didn't fit with everyone else. And I would have loved to have seen some of the jobs that I worked in, the two that I worked in, open up and do a structure like this where now you can look at that idea and say, you know what, that's something there. Maybe we can do a test. Maybe we can put together a small team and see if it works.
Yeah, and I think that plays into the new energy that's here that says, you know what, we're gonna no matter what your position is, we're gonna leave our egos outside the door here, and we're gonna consider anything, because we have a common goal to serve our market and bring more value to them, right? And that's another thing, right? You keep hearing me say bring more value. It's not about making more money. The money is a side effect of delivering a massive amount of value in a market.
Thank you. That's a very, very good point. That, matter of fact, when I put this up, I'm going to put that on the screen in big letters, like this: value does not equal money. You know?
Yeah, it's just a side effect of delivering value. So if you can get into that mindset, conscious awareness, then you see, okay, we have everything. We have great people, great resources. We could be delivering a lot more value to our market, which would naturally bring more exchange of dollars for that value from our customer base. Wanted to answer your previous question about why 2020 and what business owners should be thinking about and doing beyond what we talked about is just knowing that you can manifest whatever you actually have intention on. And the simple phrase to remember is just put your attention on your intention. Your attention is the currency. That's the currency in your day. If whatever you put your attention on, whether it's, oh, my competitors, making moves and we're not getting there, or the other side of, hey, I have this project I've had on the back burner that I've been meaning to get launched, and I'm going to put my attention on that because that's an intention I've always had, it's going to manifest for you. Okay, so that's going to come with responsibility, meaning if you allow your thoughts to go towards, oh my God, my competitor's catching up to me, well, you're going to manifest that. But if you put it towards, this is what we need to do next, and I'm going to put my attention on that and make sure my team is focused on that intention that I want to bring forward, then it will manifest very, very quickly for you.
I love that. And also, does that go toward people writing down their goals and being very specific about their goals?
Yes, I think that's important, but there's an element of that could actually limit you, okay? Because many of the goal writing strategies are from the past and from rules of the past, okay? Many times, so yes, but what I would say is that almost write down things that you've dreamed about accomplishing, not things that you just, your mind, your unconscious programmed mind thinks you could probably pull off.
Gotcha. Does
that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And it's a reaffirmation of things that I've been thinking and reading and have not put fully into practice yet. So,
and I like to, once I've got that big dream, which relates to, hey, I don't have to worry about the why right now. I want to talk about and think about and be projecting what's the thing I would love to do. I would love to, just keep that as a broad idea that it doesn't matter if it's this business or that business. In 10 years, it'll still hold solid. I call it the one big objective.
Nice.
In my coaching.
Nice.
And then you can say, okay, well, now let me look at the next 90 days. What can I do in the next 90 days? Where can I put my attention on that intention? Because that's going to show up, this big dream that you thought couldn't would take years and all this stuff, it's not going to take years anymore. It's just going to show up at your doorstep with the right mindset.
That's excellent. I love your philosophy, and I love the fact that we actually are sitting here talking about it. I think it's you've reopened up my mind just from sitting here and talking to this. And man, we got to stay in closer contact.
I'm right here, brother.
Tell me about Zen Fusion and about SyncSumo and how people can get in touch with you, and also about your coaching, because I want people to be able to get more of your type of energy into their businesses. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So yeah, SyncSumo, as we've been doing for years, we sync your contacts in from your CRM or your email marketing system into Facebook custom audiences. And also if you're capturing leads directly in Facebook with their lead ads, we can pull those out of Facebook and push them into your email marketing campaigns in real time. And you can go to syncsumo.com to check that out. At Zen Fusion, we're a Facebook ads agency, and we're heavily focused on scaling. So if you're somebody that's trying to spend, or maybe you had success spending $5,000 or $10,000 a month, but as you start to move it to $50,000, the whole thing just falls apart on you. We've got that formula figured out, and I know that we taught you some of those skills back in the day. So if you need, if you've got Facebook ads going and they're working, but you don't know how to scale it up, or you have better unique gifts to be spending your time and attention on something else in the business, and you want to hand that off, Mitch and the team at Zen Fusion can really help you get that business growth going through Facebook ads. And then on my business coaching side, it's at 8020business.com. And you can learn more about, and I've got a lot of great videos that you can kind of build on from this talk that we've had today that will help you too at 8020.
Excellent. I'll be sure to put all the links down in the description so people can get to it. And I'm so excited that people are listening to what you have to say. And I'm hoping that people take some positive action and start moving that direction. So
yeah, just start sharing the love. And yeah, I love it, brother. Thank you for having me and giving me an opportunity to share with others. That's what I'm about. So.
Awesome, man. Thanks. And I'll be in touch soon. Bye-bye.
Good. Thanks, Michael.
I was so happy to have Justin with us here today. He brought a completely different way of looking at business and life to most of us that hadn't been thinking in that sort of way. And it's something that I personally really bonded with, I really liked it. So I'm going to be checking out even more of his work. I've put descriptions for him and his work and his websites and everything in the descriptions of this post. Take a look at it and get in touch with him. He's a great guy. This is Michael Jackson. Peace.